Okay, hello. Thank you for watching my show. I just want to apologize that I have cedar fever right now. It's not funny. The cedar's really getting to me, and I just look like this. So let's have a good show tonight. And thank you for coming to my Manic Mondayz. I'll see you in a little bit. Let's get started. Just do the intro. Turn the intro, please. Thank you. Thank you for being good with the intro. I look great.
Hello, what's up, everybody? I hope we enjoyed my skit that I just started out with. Started something new. I do feel like that at times with the cedar fever, and it is beating me up. So I have to make sure that I stay hydrated, and I take my vitamins, and I take a lot of elderberry because that'll help me build up a immune system. But hello, welcome to my Manic Mondayz, the movie and mental health show. I'm CJ Robles. I'm here to guide you through my interactive vlog. Tonight I have a guest, so I am kind of, as we said earlier, cut to the chase. She has to be off early, so I want to make sure we get the most time we can with our lovely guest. So I'm gonna just start off with the quote, and then we'll go from there. So I always like to start off with a quote on my Manic Mondayz, just to get you more inspired for the week, get everything going. So we have here, there is no greater education than one that is self-driven. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's do a little bit of digging up. Let's see where I got this information from, because I believe he is a teacher or an educator of some sort. Neil deGrasse Tyson is an American astrophysicist, author, and science communicator. I like that. Tyson studied at Harvard University and the University of Texas, Austin, and Columbia University from 1991 to 1994. Okay, well, I want to keep going through this, but there he is. There's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Cool. I learned something. The reason I picked him is because I listen to motivational videos a lot, and he comes out a lot on those as just like a voice in the background, something maybe cinematic or something nice. He's the voice of reason. Hello, Mr. David Madison. I am doing well. I hope you are doing great. He is one of the coolest people I've met in the past recent years. David Madison. Check out his movies. Oh, dude, David, you're gonna please hang out for a little bit. Let me get my guest in here. She is the greatest. You'll really appreciate her because I'm gonna talk about you a little bit. Oh, you know what? Before I even get started, let's get the banner going. But what's up, Joe? Looking forward to your show, especially your guest. I know. Let's just get my guest in here because I think I had some things I wanted to talk about, like Primal. I binge watched that. I've been hitting the DCU a lot lately, with the Superman. There's a lot of Superman on HBO Max right now. So those are two. And I watched Broken Arrow, the good old John Woo movie. Kind of a slow action movie. We'll talk about it right now. So without further ado, everybody, I'd like to welcome my guest. And if you please welcome my guest. Little introduction. When I was going to school at ACC, I believe year 7, I met this professor who her and I kind of would chit chat a lot, and through conversation and spending a little extra time with her just by just conversating after class or going to her hours. She really helped me like understand cinema. She helped me understand writing. She helped me understand just storytelling. It wasn't just screenwriting I signed up for. I signed up for everything. So everybody, please have a warm welcome to the India Escape Network, Cathy Welch.
Good evening, CJ. Good to see you.
How are you doing, Cathy?
I'm doing well, thanks. And as you can see, Sprite's doing even better.
So Sprite's going to be part of the podcast tonight,
Yes.
everybody. So since everybody, Sprite, what's up? But Cathy, you were my when I decided to go back to school, I wanted to take some classes in web design. So I signed up for the web design program after I had been taking ACC classes for like years. So I learned like general studies and business classes, but I wanted to learn like a skill when I turned 30. And I was like, I need to learn something. So web design caught my eye. Well, what ended up happening right before the week when school was going to start, web design got obsolete and they did UX UI. So I was like, I don't know what that is. I ended up studying that later, but I went back to go talk to Sue Darbin, and she's one of the professors at ACC. And I sat down with her and had like a kind of a lunch thing with her because she was eating lunch and letting me hang out. And she said, well, you don't know anything about UX. You like the film program, don't you? And I go, yeah, but I also want to learn like a skill. So she taught me animation. She taught me to go motion graphics. But those classes are only taught like 2 or 1 at a time. So I took film classes to kind of back it up. And your class was one of the first film classes I took.
Yeah.
And it was screenwriting to film. Prior to this point, I already had workshops. I had already some classes with screenwriting and a lot of English classes on creative writing. But when I took your class, you taught me about the universe and you create everything. And that kind of messed me up in the way, the best mess up I've ever had, because got me thinking. So I want to bring everything. I'm excited to have you here. I want people to know that this is my introduction to Cathy, that she would talk not just script, but story. Now, let's give some background on you. You're a professor?
Yes.
And what do you teach?
Well, I have taught a number of things, but these days I teach the Introduction to Screenwriting course and Introduction to Cinema. But I've taught a few other courses as well in the RTF department. I'm also the Instructional Associate for English and Writing with the Northridge Learning Lab, which is a tutoring facility for ACC.
Austin Community College, go Riverbeds.
Yes. Yes.
I'm actually wearing their colors, I think, like purple color.
I can't tell if that's purple or blue. Oh, it's purple.
Yeah, it's like a purple. Yeah, it's the whole I like hoodies. I just like we're kind of in hoodie weather, so I kind of like get to wear them a little. At Texas, we get like what, a month.
Yeah.
Like lately, it just gets like it's gonna drop all the way down to single digits for a week, and then it goes back up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like going to be 80 tomorrow or something like that.
You know, have you ever isolated yourself writing? Like, I was thinking about that because I was listening to like getting cabin like fever, getting stuck in a cabin for writing, and then getting stuck in the snow. Have you ever done anything like that?
I'm more someone who likes to get up in the morning and do that before anything else can take away my time. I do know people who have gone and purposefully, in fact, there are lots of camps and other facilities where writers can go and be away from everything that might be a distraction. My older son's wife, she went to one of these and wrote a play that I thought was quite good, and it was produced at the Vortex Privacy Settings. She took the classic play Prometheus Bound, which, you know, the god Prometheus was because he gave fire to mankind. The gods tied him to a rock and had an eagle eat out his liver every day in terrible pain, only to grow back the next day and it start all over again. But she updated it and made Prometheus be Edward Snowden. and then did a very modernist thing where you could have different experiences at the Vortex depending on what card you drew when you came to get, your ticket and check into the theater.
Yes.
You could be in different realms. You could be in the God realm. I got the God realm because I was the mom of, I was part of the family. In the God realm, they had all these television monitors and watched all the other locations. You had Snowden in a plastic box in the center of the stage where he was bound and he had lines and you could interact with him and all this. They had a Gitmo like facility where there was an actor who was tormenting various people who'd got in trouble during their wandering around to all the different facilities. It was really great. So that was a product of one of those kind of writers' camps. But personally, I'm more just try to be regular and try to have a time that you set aside. And I was the same with editing. When I would edit, though, then when I was at UT, I was on the late night schedule. My editing shift was at 8 p.m. and went to 8 a.m. And so there was nobody to distract me. I had my little editing room. A few people might stay for a couple of hours, but then I was all by myself.
So, and what were you using to edit?
We had a Steenbeck, which is a flatbed editor, because, we're back. This is 16 or 35 millimeter film in those days.
So that's when they would put it like that, right? The strip, and then they bound it together.
Oh, well, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you would have to cut it. You would have a splicer and you cut it. Well, 16, you cut straight. 35, the sound you cut at an angle. This picture you cut straight because it's dual system.
Oh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah. I'm really old school.
Oh, I like that. I never got to edit like that. The closest I ever got was like in 2005. I met a producer who like let me go hang out with like a editor, like a splicing editor, and I just got to like hover and monitor him, and he said I could help him out, but I literally like just got one thing and handed it to him, and that was it. He was just in his own little world, and I was like, okay, I'm here, and I just stood behind him and watched, and now I see myself on the computer, and I'm like, it's the same thing, but mine's just digital. But I wish I would have been able to like just touch it and feel it, so I would know how it feels.
Well, you wouldn't have liked when the Steenbeck got out of control and you ended up with a room full of sound and a mag and a picture on the floor in a big wadded ball. And
Wow.
consequently, I can untangle anything.
Oh, we're gonna have to have a challenge. I kind of pride myself in untangling things. I think it's because I learned patience over the years, and I think if anybody can untangle something, they have patience. So it was one of those things I learned how to do. But we got some comments. Let's see what we got here.
Okay.
Welcome, Cathy. Thank you for joining us this evening. CJ has spoken really highly of you. The knowledge and experience you share is invaluable. It is. She's one of my
Well,
favorite.
I want to help out any way I can. I want to share.
All right, he said, Joe said my audio dropped down a bit. There we go, little adjustment. David Madison, I once made a movie where I was stuck in the Snowden bazing. And ladies and gentlemen, if you know what movie that was Wits End. Don't forget to watch it. I believe it's on Free E right now or Tubi. So give it a shot. I've seen it. Well, I'm working on my 6th time right now because, Cathy, like I said, I'm working on the Wits 2 Summer of Steve, the sequel. But this is what I like. So one thing that you taught me about just writing was the universe. Can you please
Yes.
explain to the audience out there why is it important to talk about the universe when it comes to writing?
Because you are creating a world for your characters, for your story. And so you must know every aspect of that world. Otherwise, it's going to be very flat. It's not going to be very meaningful, especially if you're doing, horror or sci-fi, but it doesn't matter. Comedy, drama. We need to have the world in which we're to engage with those characters. It's not just for fantasy. Oh, here's the cedar.
Yeah, I got that cedar fever. I mean, my eyes have been, but just stay hydrated. But
I have got a huge cedar tree, in a male cedar tree in my backyard, right outside this window that's over here. And not good. I know where you're coming from.
I'm just thinking you might have like immunity because you're so close to it, but also might go backwards and hit you more. Does it? Do you hear the pops? Do you hear that? That's just. Have you seen that? Like the
Oh
cedar.
yeah, it what not this year, but there was one year in which Austin had the world's highest cedar count. We broke some record,
Yeah.
and that year I thought I had the flu, and then, like you say, I saw the explosions of pollen, and I knew what was wrong.
I went to the doctor because I was like, man, I've been like this for 2 years in a row. What happens to me? I get sick, and I have a high immune system. I never get sick. What's going on? And I finally went there. He goes, oh, you gotten cedar fever. And then one time we were filming in all places I didn't even realize, called Cedar Park, and we were
Oh
filming
yeah.
outside. It was like January 2nd because that's when it's real hard right now. But I heard it. We are in Cedar Park out in the fields, and I heard it pop. I heard something pop, and I was like, "Are those gunshots?" And they go, "Nah, man, it's cedar." And then just like my face, as soon as the guy said that, my face just went swelled up, and my nostrils, I couldn't breathe. I'm happy I was just holding the camera. I was just doing a video, but I was like, so I cannot be on camera. I was just so like I couldn't even
Oh
tell it was me.
well,
I,
you were wondering about creating the world. Um, this is kind of a riff on one of the screenwriting gurus, Robert McKee. And he says what makes the strongest, most effective films is if you find a universal human situation and then you place it in a specific world, a specific time and place, so that we engage with that. We're getting into trying to understand this very specific world, but what's being elaborated is really a universal human situation. And so we can associate with it and we can learn from that exposure.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you let me play in my universe, that's where like I learned so much about myself. The first semester I took motion graphics was in the summer, and I took the your screenwriting class in the fall. But I had learned from I'm very appreciative to Steve Fishman. He's one of the professors, one of the adjunct professors at motion graphics. But he helped me out so without him, he baby stepped me into this. Because if I didn't get those baby steps, I wouldn't be able to do the leaps and bounds now. But basically, he goes, "All right, I see something. You have a really bad habit. We're gonna break it." And I was like, What is that?" He goes, You do this a lot. You write something or you draw something, which is not a bad idea, by the way. You can think of ideas. No one can. You just have ideas, but whether they're good or bad, you have ideas." I go, "Yeah, but I want good ones." He's like, "Well, you're not gonna be able to get good ones if you write your idea down and you scramble it up and you throw it away." He goes, "You're not gonna get." He's like, "'Cause you keep throwing your ideas away." So he taught me to like hold on to everything I have, write everything down. And also when I lived in LA for a year, the second day I was there, I ran into a stand-up comedian that had this was like in 2013. So I had run into oh my God, I'm gonna forget his name. It's Jordan Rubens. He's just a stand-up comedian, and he had done a lot with Comedy Central. And the second day I'm in LA, my phone breaks, so I have to go to the Apple store. So I have to go to the Grove, and I'm in there, and I see the line. I have no phone, so I'm like, it's like a 4 hour line. I'm gonna have to wait. I have nothing. It's like the store just opened. It's a 4 hour line. So I'm standing there, and in walks the gentleman, Jordan Rubens walks in, and he's like, he looked, and this is when I had my hair. I just got here from Austin, and I had my hair all the way down here, and I'm wearing like this. I look like Austin kid, and he looks at me, and I go, I noticed, like I recognized him, but I didn't want to fanboy, so I like put my head down, and then he saw the person, like there was a family next to him, and he just goes, "I'm not talking to them. Hey, what's up, man? You seem to recognize me. You know who I am?" I go, "Yeah, I just saw you like 2 days ago on Comedy Central." So he goes, "All right, shoot, man, what are you doing here?" And he just started like questioning me, and it got me thinking. Like he kind of knew, like, oh, this guy's fresh off the boat. Let me talk to him. And he just started talking to me, and he goes, "Whatever you do, write it down. Just write it down." And then I was like, okay, like I knew that, but it wasn't until I met Steve Fishman that I like I needed. It made more sense. Like, all right, you have to write everything down. So I started doing a bullet journal, and then I didn't know it was called that till like a year later, and then I got into your class, so it was easy for me to already write everything down and remember to. But if I would have took your class before I met him, I don't know what would have happened. I don't think I would have been open to the universe, because playing in your universe and having your characters interact or just know where they're going makes a hell of a difference than your person
Yes.
just.
Well, these days I make them write a log line first to force them to have an overview of their story beforehand. Then I force them to write a synopsis. Normally a synopsis is written after you've written the screenplay, but I make them do it first, because if they've got bam, bam, this happens, that happens, and the next thing happens, they're not crippled when they sit down to write the actual screenplay, crippled by going, "Oh, what are we going to do now?" They're initially kind of put off by that, like, "Oh, how can I do this?" But forcing them to do it and do it early on and quickly gets them going.
That's what helped me out. I forgot where I had learned that before, but when I was taking your class, we did the synopsis, and I was like, that makes more sense to me, because I need to write out what we're doing. But I had heard that before, but I never used it. But when we did it in your class, it just clicked. Like I was like, okay. And I just remember like right. So this the log line, tagline, and the synopsis. Once you get all that done, you're pretty much golden. And I one thing I found interesting with your classes, and this is like I wish I could have, like, I would like to take your class again, but since I've already gone through it, now it just kind of feel like work, or like I'm cheating, like because I already get through the class. But the first time taking your class, there was another gentleman in there, and you had us write like go home and write a story and just bring it back the next day or the next time we met. And I wrote a movie called 2035, and so did he. He wrote a movie 2035, and you go, well, this is interesting. Let's read them out, and then we would do the reading out loud, like that. I love that part, the script reading or story reading out loud. Like that is awesome. Like that's do you see, like, is that a big boost or big confidence thing? Because I feel once you see your characters like being vocalized through somebody else, I feel like you can learn a lot.
Yes, it's a workshop course, the one that ACC has us do. And so there's lots of sharing and interaction. And I think that it's very strong. It not only gives you more points of view from other people to see how your material is working, it makes for friendships and collaborations. And it's a very positive and fun experience because we get to hear each other's stories, and I love it.
I like there's some stories that they were meant to be like thrillers or like tragedies, and they came out to be comedies. The way the class would just tell the story, and I was like, I don't get it. And now that I've been doing it for a minute, I'm like, that's beautiful there, that it organically turned into a comedy when this person was trying to make it serious. And it's
What lots of writers say is that the characters take over. And so you thought you were writing this, but then you've gotten so into your character, so developed your character, that the character determines what's going to happen.
I like that. And creating characters has been fun. I was working on that last year, just really learning how to do that. I do wake up early. I'm learning that I can't wake up as early as I was waking up, because I do at least need 6 to 7 hours of
Sleep.
sleep. Yeah, I was getting only 4 hours, and I burned myself out. So now I'm at least waking up at 6. I was waking up at 4, and I was just getting at it and writing and getting like all these ideas out, just churning it all out, and everything's getting great. But I was just physically exhausted. And then
What are you
work.
working on right now? I know the Wits End.
Okay, I'm working on the animated Wits End. Also working on 2 comic books. One called Negative Zero. I'm working on that one. But I'm also working on a fan comic book, because and I like this one's more motivating and inspiring. Um, it has to do with with Power Rangers. I watched Power Rangers growing up as a kid, and the late Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, just passed away. So I'm doing kind of a tribute comic book for him. But it's I kind of I need to, I guess with that one I already wrote out the stories already written. I got it. Where do I have you? I have the story written out. I have the I'm doing like what I haven't never done a comic book, so I'm doing like what I would do the scenes in a comic book. So
Do
I
you
have the I illustrate, but I'm not that good. But I'm gonna do what I could do my best. I've been doing it since I was a kid. I never like the 10,000 hour rules. I think I take breaks, so again, you gotta you gotta keep going. David Madison says a blank piece of paper is God's way of telling us how hard it is to be God. one of my one of my favorite quotes is he goes, you want to make God laugh, make a plan. That's a good one, David. That's what I'm saying. His show End of the Night got me more was actually like a comfort zone place. I found because every Sunday David Madison would have guests on, and they would just talk movies. Or we could have like producers, actors. He'd have singers, musicians. Magellan. Now he'd have a lot of people come on, and through their experience, I was able to learn because I have a lot what I call Murphy's Law filmmaking. Like I've learned
What
Murphy's
can't
Law.
go wrong will go wrong.
And things can go wrong, and it's just like every time I want to film, it's something bad. Something happens, and I've just learned to go with it because it would stop me. Like
Well, I will share you the wisdom of my Film 1 teacher from UT, Lauren Bivens. He said that if you're going to be a successful filmmaker, you can't be an optimist. If you're an optimist, you'll say, oh, everything will be all right, and you don't take care of anything. If you're a pessimist, you'll never be a filmmaker because you'll say, oh, everything's going to go wrong. What is the point? You have to be an optimistic pessimist who knows that what can go wrong will go wrong and plan for all contingencies.
Yes, I had a. Oh, that you're right. You gotta have that end part, or you're gonna have to want to end it. I had a family member, kind of. I was doing. I'm doing the home remodel now. One of the other remodels. I said this quote a while back, and I don't know if it's the C.J. Robles original, but I'm gonna say it is. But they're kind of giving me. They're like always picking the bear. And they're like, oh, look at all these problems. You got to fix this. Oh, you got to fix that. Oh. And I was very quiet. And they go, why are you so quiet? I go, oh, I'm working out the problems in my head. Dude, I'm a filmmaker. I don't see problems. I just see endless solutions. And he was like, oh, wow. And I was like, actually, yeah, I do. I don't see problems. I just see a million unlimited solutions. So as a filmmaker, you learn that. And now I've learned that when I'm going to film, it's just going to go wrong. And you just got to work on it. You're going to have something at the end of the day. Like
Something
the time.
will happen, but you have to manage it.
I've done everything from having a cast and crew not show up. I've had it where and then the cameraman shows up and audio. I've had it where cast and crew and audio show up but no camera because the camera guy didn't show up. I've had it where cast and crew show up. I forgot the audio guy wasn't showing up, so we made a silent film because I forgot. Let's see, David Madison signed out with us. Thank you, David. There are 3 rules for writing a screenplay. Unfortunately, no one knows what they oh, look at this. Yeah, I am an optimistic pest.
Yes.
So that's good, though. He's not going to stop. But, like, see, that's what I'm saying. Thank you for bringing it out, David. He's been a big inspiration, a big motivation for me on just, like, wanting to be better and pursue more. With Wit's End, once I saw that movie, I was like, because Scott Schiaff was in it, and he was the one that brought me over here. So I was watching a lot of what Scott was in, and Brian O'Halloran, which I think Brian C. O'Halloran is one of my favorite actors. I need to shed a little bit more light on his acting reel. He's done a lot of good things, and he's been a great inspiration as well to me. This show, My Manic Mondayz, is basically the O'Halloran. He did it. He had a podcast, a streaming show, and I started watching it, and then with my show, I had to start. So I was like, I'll just do what Brian does. So, when David made Wit's End, I found out it was just him. So I was like, God, why am I making excuses? Like, why am I like he did it on his own? Like and Blizzard. Like this is really him, Cathy. This is really him in the Blizzard in the back. he's in the. And he said it took him like 3 years to make it, like 2 years, I believe, right, David? It took him a few years, but he got it done, and it's out. And I think it's like if you're a filmmaker,
Eraserhead took 7 years.
Whoa.
And David Lynch actually threw a paper route to continue funding it. He started it as an American Film Institute project. the guy who played Eraserhead kept that hairdo for 7 years.
Oh,
That's
cool.
dedication.
He's very iconic, especially he used to be here on that wall of the airport when they had the iHeart movies. Oh, I miss those places. But I will be
Yes.
I'm bringing back sometime this month. I'm bringing back a video store, but it's gonna be online. My Manic Movies will be like my Manic.
There used to be one that called Green Cine, and you online could rent movies, but it was before streaming, so they actually were sending them to you.
The movies, right?
Yeah, yeah, you would go on there, and they had all this information about film, which was what was great about the site, but they actually sent you physical copies of the movies. They're
Yeah.
not exist anymore. So, but tell me more about your store. How is
Oh,
your
I want to do a online video store just where it's just interactive. Where nowadays everyone's opinions a thing, so I'm just having fun with people's opinions and critics. Like I have side by side movies with Ben Garrett, which I met at the Improv Theater. So there's a buddy of mine, and we do side by side movies where we watch two movies side by side, and we would just talk about them. We've done like 73 episodes, and we've taken like 2 months off. We take a break, 2 3 months off, and now we're trying to bring it back. But thinking like about this show, we started doing it so much that I just was like, it'd be cool if we just kind of talked about movies, and then we watch the movies and we make movies. So it's like, why not? It's like a chef trying someone else's food. It took David Madison 3 years to do Wits End. So kudos to you, David, and thank you for making it because it's really a big inspiration for me. Mine's gonna be animation, so we'll see how long it takes. But
so you're familiar with Master Pancake, right?
Master Pancake Theater.
Yes, you know how they will, there was actually in the 60s a television show that was similar to what they do. It was called Fractured Flickers, and they would make fun or make voices for movies that they played on the television. This was early 60s. But, Master Pancake then was doing it at Alamo and still does every once in a while. But my older son was telling me a couple nights ago that Master Pancake has had more success by, I'm not sure, I think he has a Twitch channel. I'm not sure what channel they have, but one of the services, and they are doing it like every other night. They're doing a movie.
Wow.
And they're parodying it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a call for this stuff. They're making more money than they ever made working for Alamo. So
Yeah, because back then you had to kind of have like a big brand. Now it's just you yourself and see how far you can take it. Before you have to have like that big brand with you. But what was I gonna say? I was gonna show you something real quick about. Oh, sorry. Let's cut to a quick promotion thing I want to do. So we're gonna take a 1 minute break.
uh,
Yeah, I'm a broccoli. Thank you for watching my Manic Mondayz, where movies and mental health meet. It's a healthy choice. Like broccoli. Broccoli's good to eat every day. Thank you for watching the show. Now back at you.
And welcome back to my universe.
I liked you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm working on the acting a lot. I want to really like I want to not only like filmmaking, because my story, Cathy, is I'm an actor that I got tired of like not getting cast in things, so I just started writing my own stuff, and then I got tired of not being put in my. When I first moved to Austin, I'd write scripts and movies, and people would go like make them, but they'd leave me out, and I'd be like. I know. I was like, God, that's why I like love talking about everything now, because I'm like, I can archive my work, but even that you can, but it also shows you how slow I work too. But a lot of stuff. So I've always wanted to be acting, and my brother even asked me today. He was like, "Are you still pursuing acting or just film?" And I was like, "No, I'm doing it all. Trying to anything I can want anything I can build there." Hey, look who's here. Derek Albedi, dude, the show is awesome, bro. Derek Albedi is an actor friend of mine from New Jersey. He is on a show made by Troy Burbank and Ernie O'Donnell. From they have a show called On Our Own, and it's like a independently filmed and made sitcom or show. They got about 6 episodes. It's funny. I'll tell you this much: I have a fan film idea for them, which I've thrown out there already. Not a fan film of an episode. I want to do like an episode for them, and they said, "Yeah," but I just gotta get it written. I have a crazy because I watched the series so much that I think I know how to create more to it or just like a one-off episode. So just by watching what they throw out there. What's up, Derek? Yeah, he's a great good friend of mine. He's he plays Damone, one of my favorite characters. There's 2 characters on there. It's Damone and Drew are my favorite characters on the show. But I like that it's a independent show. It's self-produced, so it's like they're just doing it on their own. And Ray Burbank, for being a first-time creator or filmmaker, he's doing a great job. So I like these guys. And that's what I like about David Madison, because if I have a question or something, I just reach out to him and he'll answer it for me. So it's always fun having somebody you can kind of rely on a little bit. And once I learned more to be in the film community, in the movie community, and the comic community, I started realizing that there's more things to your talents or your skills that you can learn from other people. And even if it's just learning how to be more present or learning how to be more, I guess, just in the trying to learn to work. I'm learning to work with people as well, like digitally, which is fun. I'm learning how to do that. It's pretty cool. But I don't know. I think a lot of the way I ended, like the way I got into my program and learning motion graphics, learning like filmmaking all at the same time, because I was very I guess was it guerrilla style. I would just go and like take workshops, or I'd take classes broken up at ACC, not really on the career path, just signing up for like 2 film classes. And there were more film theory classes where I was getting upset because I wanted to actually make movies and you're just talking about them. And then now I sit here and I realize you need those classes. One of the most important classes. I think those classes are more important than the actual filming nowadays.
So, what would you like to learn from me tonight?
What can we bring back this time? Oh, no, nothing. Just like I said, with you, it's just hanging out, always talking movies, always learning from you, always able to kind of rely on a conversation, movie related or just story related. What I could use from you is just share some knowledge or any advice you have for anybody out there. Mental health wise, I guess we could cut to your Manic Media. What do you, let me find it real quick. I haven't done the new one yet. Where we go? Here we go. Here we are, Cathy. We have hit the My Manic Media portion of the show.
Okay.
And this is when we kind of talk to the audience and we let them know, like, what do you use to unwind? What do you use when you're having just a day where you just want to relax and you want to focus on some kind of media, or you want to focus on like a movie or listen to music, paint, draw? What is your My Manic Media?
Well, I bet you can't guess. Movies. What else?
I was gonna get something else.
I do also draw, but I draw crazy things.
What do you what do you draw?
I pull one off the wall. They're kind of well, I do a whole series with my younger son, and they're all kind of riffing on Girl Dreams Of. And so he does the psychedelic patterns, I do the girl. So yeah, I like to try it that way. But movies always, when I was a kid, we lived outside of Los Angeles on the other side of the mountains, but we went into LA every week. But we had a channel. We had 13 channels, which was a lot in those days, in the early 60s. And there was one called $1 Million Movie. And $1 Million Movie played the same set of movies let's say 3 or 4, because I don't remember exactly, but they'd eat for a week. They'd have those 3 or 4 movies and they'd play them constantly. And I had a television in my room because my grandmother, my mom's mom, had a motel. And so when she changed out the TVs in all the rooms, gave everybody in the family got a TV. So I had a TV and I would just have $1 Million Movie on all the time. Either that or Groucho, You Bet Your Life. And or sci-fi stuff. I liked the Outer Limits, the original Outer Limits, a whole bunch. But and that's how I would chill out always. I like having media on. I also listen to KUT a lot. A sign of getting old, I suppose. You more news than movies.
The zoo sounds of KLT. Yeah. So, what is your favorite genre movie?
That is a hard question. I tend to like metaphorical cinema in a way, meaning that there is, metaphors where something is equated to something else, something that is equated to something unknown, and that informs you about it, or symbolic cinema. So I like it to be more about something more than just the pure story. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I like things that that inform me about some facet of reality in a way that, or human nature in a way that I didn't already understand it, and I come to understand it. So I do like lots of sci-fi. I like lots of fantasy. I like mystery. Mystery and detective are probably what I watch the most of.
Oh no, you one of those Dateline watchers?
No.
Okay. Oh wow.
No.
Scary stuff.
Yeah, lots of horror. At one time, what was the name of that site? Because this is like 20 years ago or something like that, 15 years ago. But what they did was they had all the different genres, and they would have a list of films in that genre, and you would check off all the ones that you had seen. And at one time, on the horror genre, I was number 200 in the world. I hadn't seen the most, but I had seen a lot of them. Though I don't see, there's certain ones. Yeah, I'm not into a lot of the more modern, or even some of the older ones that did this that are extremely graphic.
Yeah,
I had to watch Saw through my fingers.
Oh, that was not too bad. I mean, they get worse.
Yeah, they do, and like I hate to admit it, but I have never seen The Hills Have Eyes because I didn't want to go there.
The first, I get like, for sure, movies I don't like are like, man, I have trouble with the Strangers one, like things that people can like really break into your house, or like things that feel too real in the way they suit them.
Yes.
Like yeah, horror. Like I have trouble with that. Or like what's that? I'm trying to think of the word. It's kind of too real. Like,
right. You were talking on one of your shows about 70s horror, and it could happen to you. It looks real. We don't have all the digital effects that we can do now, and I agree that a lot of that stuff seems more real, like it might happen to you. One of my favorites is the original Wicker Man, that you might wander into. Of course, you have to be the perfect victim, but
yeah.
I'm not.
I recently saw last year, because of 2022, I saw Soylent Green.
Oh yeah.
And it's because it was
Green, it's people.
Silent Green, it's people. But like watching it and seeing how they project the future, they're not far either. And that was in 1973, so they weren't far. But it's so cool to see that they picked that year, and I was like, man, like food rations, like they would think that because they didn't know where we're going. But this make believe universe may or may not exist in the future. You never know. But
Well, the fact is, and I teach this in class, in my cinema class for sure, that movies are not so much about the time they depict as about the time they were made in. They are all artifacts of their time period. So, of course, they reflect the kinds of things going on in society.
and
Like you can look at the evolution of different kinds of characters or monsters or whatever is the prevalent antagonist in horror films, and it will reflect things about the culture and what genres are most prevalent. Again, there was a very interesting shift in horror movies in that, say, in the 60s or 70s, the main people who frequented horror movies were young males. And then in the early 2000s, it switched over to young females. And so they did some studies on that, and they interviewed a lot of people. And the idea was that women went to those for catharsis because they were looking for something worse than what they confronted out in the world.
wow,
So,
like
yeah,
backwards, kind of like backwards, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like you're looking for an escape in a way, like
yeah.
that's kind of when you watched all those movies, you're just saying, was it more like, is it just because it was on entertaining, or was it more like an escape for you, or was it more like it was just because you're so
Um,
like attached to it?
well, you're talking about mental health. I don't know if I should reveal this or not. You'll think I'm weirder than you already think. But I actually got treated when I was young, when I was 20, for a vampire phobia.
Oh,
I actually went to a therapist at UT because if I had to sleep by myself, I had to cover my neck and I had to have a cross. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I don't believe in vampires. What in the hell is going on? And so I went and talked to the therapist. And the first therapist said, draw your vampire. So I drew the picture, and it was a male vampire, but he said, vampire looks very feminine. So he assigned me to one of the students there at the health center who, and what I learned in the course of working with him was that when I was a kid, I had, because of $1 Million Movie, I had seen all the Universal horror classics. They had just been released to television at that time. And I hooked into the symbol of the vampire because I'd had this phobia a long time, because it was representative of some of the kinds of things going on in my family. And so my therapist said, you want to get over your phobia, all you have to do is sleep alone one night and say, vampire, come do your worst. And so I got brave enough and I did it. And I realized, I sensed the vampire outside my window, but then I realized it was my mother, because my mother sucked all the life and energy out of our family because she needed and wanted so many things. So you use things like this. People do that. They will find a symbol for what it is that's troubling them.
well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's like when I was really young, and I would draw ninjas a lot. And an art teacher in an art class in the summer program at all places, she confronted me and was like, "Is there something you need to talk to me about?" And I was like, "No, why?" She goes, "Well, your art's very," and anything was just a ninja head. Even if I drew like a basketball player, I'd have like a ninja. And she's like, "Cause I feel like you see things, but you don't say anything." And I was just like, well, my family was pretty rough, so I think that's all the DV I was around kind of got me. But I was very young. I was a little kid, and I that memory sticks with me. But it's one of those where you can kind of connect. Your vampire story connects with me in this matter, because I've had issue, and I don't do it anymore, and I can't remember when I stopped doing it. But a movie that I watched as a young child, kind of traumatized me, and that movie is called Cat's Eye. Have you seen this one?
Boy, I don't think so.
1985. Cat's Eye, 1985. PG-13. 1 hour 34 minutes. I guess that's comedy, horror, thriller. I don't. This is not a comedy to me. A stray cat is linking element of three tales of suspense and horror. Well, this is the movie poster, Kathy. Do you see this little guy right here? This little troll?
Yes.
Do you see the
Yes.
way he's kind of breaking through the wall there?
Yes.
So I think it actually shows in the movie trailer. I don't want to. You're already gonna go, and I don't want to waste any of your time. But watching the trailer. But this little troll breaks through the way they shot this movie is great. Breaks through the wall. He opens the wall, climbs onto the bed, jumps onto the little girl that's sleeping in the bed, and he slowly takes her soul away.
Oh,
And you see the cat right here. The cat protects her. Follow
well,
the follow. Sorry.
of course. That's what Sprite's doing back there.
For the vampires. So follow the because one of the things that cats don't like vampires. Follow the newest cat and creature game as played through Cat's Eye. Cats and creature game. That's funny. But as
Have you the one that scared me as a kid besides Dracula was, have you ever heard of a movie called Jack the Giant Killer?
I have, but I don't. Did they make
They
that
did a
recent?
they did a modern thing of it, but there was one back in the early 60s.
Oh, I need to watch that one then.
And
No.
there's and the thing that was scary to me and that I also really liked, which made me feel kind of guilty, was there's like a princess who Jack ends up, he gets in good with the royal family because he saves her. But there's one part where there is a magic mirror. There we go. There we go. There's a magic mirror, and she had been taken over by the evil magician. Nobody knew it, but when she looked in the mirror, you could see what she was really like. And she looked
Oh.
very cool in her evil form.
You know the thing about Cat's Eye, real quick. What happened to me? I'm sorry. But that is Cat's Eye. I would sleep like a cocoon inside of my my bed, sis, and I did that till like I was like 22 or something. So because the troll can never get me. But what you just said, where the mirror, it reminds me of a sketch from Dave Chappelle when he puts what you could really see, and then he puts it on himself, and he's just like a loser. Like it's like like it's so funny. Like he cuts himself down a lot. But so we got a comment here. Joe Rizzi says Cat's Eye was made for TV movie, I believe. I think so too. I think I'm gonna watch this giant
Jack the Giant Killer.
Jack the Killer, the 60 version.
It probably hasn't aged well, but it really scared me when you'll see the part where the witches come. He's taking the princess away on a ship, and through the air, the witches come to take her away to the evil wizard.
Oh, okay.
That's me. But my favorite is actually a made-for-TV movie from the 70s that most people have not seen because I, for years, could not find the complete version of it.
And this is your favorite movie?
Maybe.
Okay, what is it?
It is The Dark Secret of Harvest Home. It stars Betty Davis, of all people.
Let me look this up real quick. The Dark Secret
of Harvest Home.
Let's see what this is. Here it is, 1978. Let's check this out.
It was a made-for-TV movie that played on 2 nights. And it's usually, if you find it, you're not finding the whole movie because it was cut severely. I was able recently to find the whole thing, the complete one. But
whoa. Oh, okay. A young couple moves to a quick New England village only to soon find themselves mixed up in mysterious rituals. What is this? Drama, horror, mystery. That's what you're saying. You're like, hey, it has a 7.3. That's not bad.
It's got some interesting stuff. It's from a novel by Thomas Tryon. And he, interesting dude, he was an actor. And he was actually in a movie. Great title, I Married a Monster from Outer Space. He was a monster. he then didn't have much success with acting, so he decided to write, and he actually had some best-selling books. The first one being The Other, which is a movie I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
Not The Others with the S. But
Oh, so the S.
this is The Other, which was a best-selling novel and then was made into a movie. It's 70s again, and it's really good. Has Uta Hagen in it, the famous acting teacher. But
Oh, there he is.
then he wrote Harvest Home is the name of the book. The movie made from its Dark Secret of Harvest Home. And then he had a best-selling collection of short stories called Crowned Heads. And another movie was made from that, Fedora, which starred William Holden, which was good as well. But I like the TV Dark Secret of Harvest Home. It's one of those where, again, it's riffing on the societal issues because the couple moves out of the city. There's some unhappiness in their marriage, but their teenage daughter is getting hassled on her way home from school in New York City, and it's, kind of in a bad state during that era. And when so the idea of going to move to the country, it's going to be nice, and it's you leave behind the present and all of its things, go to the past, and it's not necessary, or a simpler time or place, not necessarily what you're going to want. And again, it's another riff on gender relationships, because it's definitely the reason that all goes wrong has to do with patriarchy. Not everybody, particularly women, are happy with patriarchy.
The patriarchy, damn.
Yes.
So it is already past 10. I need to
Oh,
get you.
yes.
But I do have two things I want to share with you real quick before we end the show, because I know we got to. What was so one thing I wanted to share with you was, where's that? Oh, so my favorite movie is Joy Ridley wrote something real quick. The Dark Secret of Harvest Home is on YouTube. A couple of different ones equaling about 4 hours.
You probably have the one, because there is one that is now correct, because for years you couldn't get the one that was the full length.
The 5 hours, yeah, I saw that there. All right, thanks, Joe. But I wanted to show you that the reason, like you were saying, that there's like a lot of connection with that, with what you like, the Dark Secret, and well, my favorite movie of all time is 1986's Transformers the movie.
Ah.
And I didn't even realize it until I started the podcast and I started doing all this or the show, and I realized that this is because even when even as an adult going through hard times, I just put this one on and it helps me get through it. But it helps me because there's I was raised with my aunt, and she has special needs, and spent a lot of time with her. And she when she passed when I was in the 4th grade, this movie was there for me to kind of show me how to help with the passing of time or someone dying. And I didn't have to actually have somebody explain it to me. I just kind of saw Optimus Prime dying and Dino, and then you kind of see the evolution of a Hot Rod, and you see that life. There's new characters are going to be around you. Not really the squashbuckling, pirates type guys, but these are the nice, other Autobots, and helping you get to where you need to get. But I love that movie a lot. But I also sorry.
Oh, I was going to say that earlier I was saying that I like mystery and detective. And the reason for that, there's been a lot of written on this, is that is a genre where things are messed up. There's been a crime, something's wrong, but the detective figures it out and the world is set right again. And so for a lot of people, that's very comforting. And yes. I think that's why it works for me.
Yes, and like I said, you're an educator and you're patient, so that's pretty cool. That's some strengths you have there. But as I was saying earlier, and as everyone kind of knows on my show, that I am a huge Kevin Smith fan.
Right.
And I went to go watch the Clerks 3 at the screening there in New Jersey, and you get Kevin Smith gives you something there when you go, if you get like the VIP experience. If you buy the whole enchilada, he tends to meet you, get to hang out with him, but he also he tends to he likes to leave a lot of cookie crumbs, is what I call. Well, he gives you these little booklets here, It's the screen for Clerks 3. It's the screenplay.
Oh, wow.
And because you introduced me to Drew Scriptorama, which is a great way to go back and research, but I like learning through a book. I have to like hold it. It's hard for me to learn through a screen, but I love the way he breaks it down because it's literally the script and how he writes it. So whenever I get stuck on something, I know this movie so well, or I have the one for Clerks 2. I know him so well that I'm like, okay, what did he write for this scene? I'll grab it, I'll look in, and I'll be like, oh, that's how he wrote it because I know how it looks,
Nice.
and I'm trying to connect it in my head. And fun fact, David Lee Madison and Kevin Smith were born on the same day at the same hospital. So you have two great filmmakers born on the on the same day. It's insane. But that's what I like. I like about filmmaking is the storytelling aspect of it. That's why I like animation. That's why I like graphic arts. I just like you're able to express yourself without it using words. That's at most points or language. You could just find other ways to do it. But that's why I gotta say, like I'll eventually like to kind of get to the point where I can make this myself, and I want to say thank you because it's inspired me to kind of look deeper into things, and that's why I feel like the whole Clerks, like I was in like third grade when the movie came out. You know, I watched it probably when I was like, was it like 6 years later? I probably watched it when I was like a freshman in high school, and oh no, I saw like junior high or whatnot, but I just saw the movie and understood it, and I thought it was a comedy. Okay, great, cool. Not knowing anything about cinema really, not knowing anything about movies and storytelling. But now that I started my journey a while back, and I had the tough grind in the beginning, and now I'm seeing just longevity and staying in on it, and then meeting somebody like David Madison or like Kevin Smith, and then you realize that they leave you things to see or go back and cherish. So I was able to like take like what I learned on my own and then put it together with like the books and write my own stuff. I learned screenwriting through script reading. I had a ton of them.
I have a box full in the garage, because old school, they were printed out, they weren't online. You
Nah.
had your professor had copies. And yeah, I've got a box full out there in the garage. Maybe you need to borrow some.
I will. I totally love to. And the thing about the like Kevin Smith creating the View Askew, where all his movies are connected, which he's like, why he did like the thing the comic books did, but I like that he did that because when I got back and after I got older and I started working more in life, the movies started clicking in my head. Like when we did it on Side by Side, it's episode 7 on the podcast. You can see me like just fanboying out, like, and then they did this because I don't really do research when we do the show. I just kind of like if I find something online by accident, I'll bring it up. But I'd rather do it while we're on the show, like with Ben and I, just so I can like find things out as we're going. And when I just started feeling like I watched Clerks 2, and I had it on. I rented it for like 48 hours. I just had it looping in the background, and I was just taking a break, and I was watching that intro, and the intro is like one of my favorite intros of all time to a movie, and it's very simple. And there's a scene there where they're doing a bunch of cutaway shots, and they're playing David Byrne's Talking Heads in the background, The Bed of Flowers, and it's so beautiful. And then there's the scene where they cut into, like, I guess egg for like the McMuffin or the movies muffin, like, so they cut into it and they put it on the spatula and they put it on the fryer, and in my head everything just clicked, and I was looking at that thing like, that's not how you make eggs, but I'll eat that. That's literally like that's like a manufactured fake egg, but I will eat that. And it's like, but I could make that too. And it just kind of, to me, I just realized like that for some reason that I gotta show you. I could bring it up real quick. I don't want to waste any more time, but it's just literally just cuts the egg and puts it in because it's in a tube, and you see, and I'm like, well, that's what a McMuffin's made out of. And I eat McMuffins, eggs, and I've made them at home. But when you're seeing the corporate thing and the corporate grind, we're just working a job and you're just kind of you. But I think you build character and you build grit, and that with the time that you put into things, I feel like filmmaking to me has been like this really long journey because I'm finally like I've had to kind of correct myself in the way of learning how to communicate, and that's one thing on your ACC bio. It says you're a master communicator, or no, it said
I have a master's degree.
Yeah, and communication though, right?
Yes.
But also, I said something else. It said something. It gave you. It said something there as something like like you're. It said something. One of the sentences. I can't look it up. I can't remember it. But it was one of the sentences of basically saying that you're very you're understanding very easy. So I want to say it's because you got the communication background. And I want to say it's because I have a communication background now that it's easy for me to understand it. But I'll let you go. We can geek out all night. You and I tend to have conversations, and I enjoy our coffee meetups and just kind of when we hang
Well, I'll
out.
have
And
to do it again, and you'll have to share with me what you've got coming down the pipeline.
I do, I got to, because that last year, like I keep saying, was my learning year. This is my like I feel the tube is full now. Let's get some stuff out. But I want to let the show's already gone to 10:10. I don't want to take any more of your time, Cathy. I want to say thank you for coming on and sharing some of your experience.
I loved it. It was fun.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know you have to work tomorrow because you're got to go mold some minds. There, I called you a mind molder. That's what I called you myself. You're a mind molder, and in other words, I also like to show that like all your work is appreciated because I'm able to do all this now.
Yes, and I'm always here for you.
Thank you so much. There's my my ACC degree, so
Excellent.
right there, one of three. So
Way to go.
we should talk about that next time. But me with my 198 hours at ACC. I had a before I graduated, I got a scholarship, and I was just so cool. I got a scholarship. 1,508 people applied. 23 people got the scholarship. Somehow, I was working at the Buenos Aires Cafe on the 6th Street. There was only like 13 employees, out me included. Somehow, one of the other girls I was in there was one of the other 23.
Oh, wow.
And we found out through a lunch. So we went to go have a lunch. They took us out to eat at the business center and off Highland, and we went to go have lunch with the dean, the people that got the scholarship. They wanted to meet us, and I'm like the oldest guy in there. Well, I'm not the oldest guy in there, but I'm one of the older guys. And then my coworker, she's like 22 or whatnot, and I'm like 35. And so they come in and they start talking to everybody, and I can see they're real eager to speak to us, and I'm like, I don't want to steal the show. I talk too much. I don't want to. There's nothing they want to know about me. I'm the older guy. I'm just gonna stay quiet. And finally, I don't know what I said. Oh, because my coworker was I walked in late, and then she goes, "Oh my God, CJ, what are you doing here?" And I was like, I'm just like a minute late, but thank you, Ashley, because she's the hostess. And when I would show up a minute late, she'd be like, CJ, what are you doing late? You know, I was like, what are you doing late? So I was like, Ashley, we're not at work right now. And what are you doing here? She was like, I got a scholarship. Oh, me too. And then everybody was looking at us talk. So they go, you, sir, you seem like a talker. What do you do? Whatever. And I was like, And then I said, I've been going to ACC since 2005 and just learning how to take classes. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to school at Texas State. When I finished there, I just kind of kept going to classes, educating myself. And then I remember the dean was Dean Richard. He was taking a sip of something. I didn't mean to say this. And I go, well, I have at the time I had, because I'm over 200 now, but I had like 189 hours. And he goes, you have what? And I go, 189 hours of ACC credits. He goes, son, you were almost about to hit a master's. But one of my coolest things I did, he got to know me a little bit, him, and they brought a guest speaker. And the guest speaker, he was a firecracker. He was like, hey. So once he got once I got his attention, he was just talking to me. And we were just talking. So that was a month before I actually walked. Or that was about a month or two before I walked. But when I walked, I think there was like 4,000 people walking or something like that. So I was kind of like towards the end. And when I saw the dean and I saw the guy, I forgot his name already. I think it was Roy or something. I saw him, and the guy, the dean saw me, and he went, hey, you made it. I go, I told you were going to see me walk. He shook my hand, he gave me a hug, and he walked off. And then the other guy goes, I remember you, bring it in. And he just hugs me, like picks me up. He said, you made it, buddy. Keep studying. Go get more hours. But I got to say, that whole buildup to like walking and graduating with like, I don't know, 4,000 people. I think there was a lot of people in the stadium, and feeling that presence of people like praising you for finishing something, I guess. You accomplished something. It just took you 12 years. But like getting it done, that was something I can't explain. So I got to say thank you for always doing what you're doing, because it's actually, I can have that moment in my life and be like, I remember doing that. I remember going past the finish line and thanking the people that were there for me, that helped me kind of get started in all this, and kind of always giving me the, it's okay, keep going. Don't worry. don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. So I would like to say
Keep up your filmmaking.
thank you so much. And I've learned so much more like than I ever thought it was for people like you. So I want to say from my Manic Mondayz, I want to say thank you, Cathy. You are an honorary member of the movie club, and we'll always have you on. So thank you for coming by, and I'll have you on later on once I have more of my stuff out. We'll see. I'm literally throwing it out now because so people can call me out. Hey, where's your movie? You've been talking. I'm like, I have time now to do stuff. So I'm ready to show people what I got. Because I only made 2 movies last year, and they're just I was actually on more movie sets last year than I was on my own set. So, but I was learning.
Good.
But I will, right? There you go. Apply. Learn and apply. And this is what I'll leave the final say so from my friend's refrigerator. Like she had a little motivational sign, and all it said was, apply yourself. Because that's all you can do. All you can do is learn and apply. So as this show comes to an end, Cathy, you have anything else you want to say?
Just thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, you take care. I'm gonna finish off the show, and I'll you gotta drop in the green room. I'll probably be done in about a minute or so, and we'll finish up our conversation.
Okay.
So thank you for being on the show, Cathy. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out here on my Manic Mondayz Movies and Mental Health Show. You just saw me fanboy out with one of my favorite professors of all time. It's about I guess it's more about listening. Someone willing to listen to your story, and then the feedback. The feedback is the scary part because, they believe in you enough to read your stuff and then work on it with you. So that's why I'm always appreciative. So, I'm going to leave you with one final sketch, and then thank you for hanging out tonight. So, here we go.
Hey, thanks for watching my Manic Mondayz on the Indian Skate Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you're enjoying the show. It's my Manic Mondayz, the Indian Skate Network. Check us out.